Hi, it's Kieran from the Run Testers here, and today we are here to look at these. So these are the Under Armour HOVR Machina. They are the follow-up to these, the Under Armour HOVR Infinite. At least they're not a direct follow-up, but they are the latest set of connected shoes with chips in them out of the Under Armour stable. Now, Under Armour brought us a range of around 5 shoes last year, including these Under Armour HOVR Infinite, that all had chips in their shoes that would do things like track your real-time pace, your distance, and your cadence and foot strike, all those things last year. These are the new ones, and I've had them for a little while and I've been testing them, and here's what I make of them. So smart or not, shoes have to be good to run in. And so this review will break down into 2 areas. One where we look at how they are actually out on your feet on the run, how comfy they are, how the ride is, and the other will look at the smart connected piece. Let's start though with how they run. The Under Armour HOVR Machina are really shoes that are designed for your everyday runs. I think those are your longer, kind of slower, steady miles. They are not a fast shoe. They're quite heavy. They're about 295 grams, or they're just under 300 grams in a UK men's size 9. I'm afraid I don't have the women's stats to hand at the moment because these are brand new and we haven't got all the specs in yet. I've only got the ones that I've been training in. One thing you'll really notice, as with the other connected shoes that have the hover foam in them from Under Armour last year, there's quite a lot going on here. There's an awful lot of midsole foam. These are sort of maximalist shoes. They're not unlike the size of sole that you would get from a Hoka. The stack height is 25 to 33 mils, and that makes for quite a sort of substantial feel on the foot. There is more shoe here than I would normally run in, and to me they feel a bit too bulky. They are super firm. I mean, there is no give in this sole at all. I mean, they barely bend. There is no bend in them, so there's very little flex. The other thing to sort of say, I mean, you'll see just, I'm mentioning a couple of times here about how much shoe there is going on, but look at how padded these collars are. I mean, that is thick. That's the thickest I've seen on a collar outside of something like a Saucony or an Asics. The tongues are super padded, they're separate. Even these laces are thick and soft. Now, cast my mind back to last time when Under Armour unveiled its connected shoes with its hover foam, and they were talking about that being deliberate and all about bringing cushion and comfort to the ride around the whole foot. And while I kind of appreciate that, and some people might like that, for me, I think that just makes for quite a hefty sort of chunky shoe. And I have to say, I'm not entirely convinced that these would be for me on the run. I prefer something where there's a little bit less going on. The underside, there's a lot of traction here. It's extremely sort of tacky, sticky. You can feel it on the foot. And they actually feel pretty good on the run round corners. That's one thing that I did like. There's plenty of grip going on there. There is also, I don't know if you can see that in here, there is a torsion plate. That's to give you a little bit more spring on the toe off, and there's a decent amount of sort of propulsion when you move between kind of foot down to toe off. So I think I've done sort of 3 or 4 runs in these. They're substantial. I've used them on the treadmill. I've used them out on a 10 miler just now, and over the 10 miles actually what I've got here is a little bit of a blister on my little toe, because the other thing is I think these come up quite narrow in the toe box. They're sort of almost straight. There's not too much of a broadening. There's a video up here on the channel about the Nike React Infinity Run that allow for a little bit of spread in the toe box. These are quite cramped, and I didn't feel like I had enough room for my toes to breathe. I've got big fat feet. I am one of the run testers that has big fat feet, so that's not ideal for me. But yeah, a little bit too cramped as well. Some people might not have that issue. I would recommend really though possibly sizing up half a size. I've been running in the UK 8.5. So my verdict on the run for the Under Armour HOVR Machina is that if you like a substantial shoe and you're not adverse to quite a lot of padding and cushioning, and you don't mind something that comes up a little bit narrower around the mid foot into the toe box, something that's got quite a stiff kind of firm base, then these might be for you. They're quite heavy. You know, they're not necessarily uncomfortable to run in, but these are not a quick shoe. I think these are for your everyday, longer, slower runs. And even then, I think I personally would go for something a little bit lighter and a little bit more minimal. There is a lot of shoe here for my liking. So if you like a lot of shoe, check them out. If not, other shoes around here that we've reviewed might be better for you. So then let's talk about the connected smarts of the Under Armour HOVR Machina. Now last year, Under Armour brought out its widest range of connected shoes yet. It included 5 shoes with a different shoe, arguably for every type of run or every type of runner. You know, there was something for somebody who wants to go faster, there was something for somebody on a longer, slower run, and each of them has sensors in the shoes that connects via Bluetooth to your smartphone, and specifically the MapMyRun app, which is obviously also owned by Under Armour. From there, this shoe was able to track things like your pace, your distance. It piggybacked the GPS on your phone to calculate the distance. If you didn't have your phone, it would give you an accelerometer driven distance reading. That's still the same case here with these. There's still no built-in GPS, you still have to piggyback the phone. But you also got some running dynamics metrics. What are running dynamics? So we're talking about things that you read into your form. So things like cadence and stride length, foot strike, and those kind of things. Now, being honest, Under Armour started small with this. There are a couple of key stats that they put out. You don't get anywhere near like the kind of detail that you might get from a specific foot pod or some of the insert sensors like the Nerve Run or the Arian that we've seen before. It's quite limited, but actually there's a bonus here because you don't have to put anything on in or out. The chips are in here, and you wouldn't know. You can't see them. They're hidden in the midsole. They don't need charging, which is brilliant. The battery life of the chips, they're built to outlast the lifetime of these shoes, so there's no charging. And the connection of the shoes is actually really simple. Fire up your app, hit connect, and it will recognize your shoes straight out of the box. If you've got more than one pair of Under Armour shoes in the same place, it'll also see which 2 are close and you can pick them. Each time you go back to run, the connection is automatic. So I thought these were brilliant. They're getting over one of the big problems with kind of connected stuff that you put in your footwear, which is, you know, having to connect them each time or having to change your insoles in and out of shoes. All those kind of things are solved. It's really quick and easy. You pop your shoes on, just launch the app, go and run. So that's really, really good. And you know, that kind of seamless approach is something that I feel is going to have to be absolutely essential for chips in shoes, sensor-laden shoes that track parts of our run to become more prevalent and built into every kind of shoe. So what specific stats do they track? So what you'll get after your run is like a running form analysis that includes stride length, ground contact time, your cadence, and also your foot strike angle. Now, cadence is kind of a popular one. You know, how quickly your feet are turning over as you run. You know, there's an argument about what the ideal cadence is, but if you're, you know, the elites will sort of start to hit 180. There's an argument that the quicker that your cadence up to a point, you know, the better that your form is, because you're encouraged to keep your feet sort of more under your body. It's quite hard to have a quick cadence and be overstriding. So that's one thing, that upping your cadence can help improve your running form and arguably help you avoid injury. Ground contact time is another thing. You know, that's how long your foot is staying on the floor every time your foot taps, how quickly you're lifting them off. Longer ground contact time can mean more impact going up the body. So quicker ground contact time, quicker cadence can be things, again, that can help arguably improve your running, your efficiency, and also your reducing injury, those kind of things. So what you also get after each run is some tips for what you can do next run to help improve on those stats that it thinks you need to look at. And that's kind of really handy from a coaching point of view for people who are beginner runners. So the other big change that we've seen with the Under Armour HOVR Machina that we didn't get with the last generation of connected shoes, and this one's actually quite a biggie, is that the coaching is now available in real time. So if you run with your phone and connect them to the shoes, you can get real-time tips on how to improve your cadence. It's restricted to the cadence stat at the moment. The other metrics will hopefully feature coaching in the future. That's what we've been told by Under Armour. And this is a big deal. We're also told that at some point in the future, you will be able to fire your information to a running watch. And that will be a bit of a game changer. It means that all that information that's currently being collected by your shoes becomes far more useful on your wrist, where you can see it, and with coaching tips in real time so that you can improve your form as you run. The other thing that I really want them to work on is getting those stats onto a watch. Last time I was in Portland at the Under Armour HQ to see the launch of the last wave of these shoes, it was mentioned that we might be seeing stats fired to some of the well-known brands and devices pretty soon. Get that right, and these shoes actually take a whole kind of step up, because being able to see your data is really important, and putting it on the watch where most of us actually really want it to be seen is I think a crucial part of moving smart shoes to the next generation and making them far more useful and far more relevant. So let's talk money. The Under Armour HOVR Machina are going to be out in January, and they are going to set you back £140. That's 140 if you want to get hold of a pair of smart connected shoes from Under Armour.